Maruzensky Speed, Agnes Tachyon, and Mejiro Ramonu. Those are probably the three most talked about upcoming cards on Umusume Global right now. They're the new Big Three. Anyone who wants to stay competitive should be saving their cares to pull on those banners. But content creators often throw these things out there without much explanation, and this has led to quite a few Umusume players actually misunderstanding why and what these cards are good for. Now, I'm not saying it's malicious or players are stupid for believing anything I mentioned in this video. I just want to clear a few things up so that you guys can know the full story before you spend your carrots. Let's start from the beginning and look at Maruzensky. The reason I made this video in the first place is actually because of online discussion I see surrounding mainly this card, often including a fundamental misunderstanding of what she even does. So the misunderstanding generally follows the thought process of, well, she's a frontrunner card, I don't care much about fronts, so I can just borrow her when I need her. And to be fair, she is a frontrunner card. And if anyone even remotely likes frontrunners, this card will almost always be mandatory to run in any frontrunner deck. But that's not the only reason people are saying to pull on her. It's true that she does have mainly frontrunner skills, but the thing is, look at basically any other speed SSR in the game. The only one with both good stats and a good generalist skill is Kida-san Black. You just can't be picky about skills when there's no competition. Looking at the Maruzensky card, you get your unique effect, giving you tons of training effectiveness and power bonus just from one limit break. Not only does this make her great for getting stats on any running style, this makes her an incredible budget and good investment for free-to-play players. So when we combine all three of these things together, being great training, being cheap to pull, and being mandatory for frontrunners, we just get an incredibly versatile card. You ever want to run a front? Now you don't have to borrow it. You need a second speed card to pair with your Kida-san Black, while Maruzensky blows most of the SRs just out of the water completely. If you don't have Kida, you should almost definitely be pulling on her so that you can just keep borrowing Kida-san Black. And in fact, she's so good that on Global, she's going to be meta for basically every running style for about a full year. With only about 2 or so sort of exception speed cards, the meta speed deck is just going to be Kida-san Black plus Maruzensky speed, and then later on it's going to be El Condor Casa plus Maruzensky, until a couple new speed cards do come out. And even after the Duramente card drops next summer, she's still good for frontrunners specifically, just not the other styles. Now, I'm not saying there aren't any good reasons not to pull or that it's over if you didn't save enough. If you don't like fronts, and if you have 2 good SSR speed cards already, then she won't really make much of a difference for your deck. You'll be fine with Kida plus Pico, or Kida plus Tachyon, or Kida plus Mayano, or basically any other strong speed SSR. But with the selectors and the crystals and the rerun, and with her being pretty cheap to pull, I do think most players can afford to and should pull for it. But I mentioned Tachyon there. And after saying that Kida plus Maruzensky is the meta for almost a full year, what makes Tachyon good? What is her niche? Well, it mostly comes down to the scenario. When asked this question, I've seen most content creators brush this off by saying, oh well, she's scenario linked. But the way Grand Live function itself makes this card really good. So I may have lied a bit when saying Maruzensky would be hard meta, because in this scenario she is eclipsed by both Tachyon and Kida-san Black. So why is that? Well, first of all, this scenario has a sort of currency system which rewards you for clicking rainbows. When you train, you get tokens that you can spend on stats, hints, or other effects like speed bonus or skill point bonus. And when you click on a rainbow, you get double the amount of tokens, making high specialty priority very important. Maruzensky has 25 to 35 depending on your limit break, while Tachyon will have 57 to 80. And you will really want max limit break on Tachyon because of the other problem, the skill point bottleneck. In Track Blazer, we do races every turn, we get tons of skill points, but in Grand Live, we train every turn just like Unity, so it becomes a lot harder to get SP. And you can increase your skill points by buying certain songs, and the scenario itself gives you extra skill points, but there's still so many skills you need to buy. And taking a look at Max Limit Break Agnes Tachyon, you could see a fat 2 SP bonus right there. And it may not sound like a lot, but you have to remember that stat bonuses are applied before any other effects, so it does scale multiplicatively when you have these big rainbows and other SP bonus cards. Plus, the scenario link is still there, which gives you extra stats in the chain. It lets you choose a hint for Come What May, a medium skill that's... it's alright, positioning requirements make it a little difficult to use, but that's not the point of the video. And of course, she will give you tokens because she is scenario linked in her event chain. And the skills that Tachyon herself gives are most suited to pace chasers, so just like Maruzensky, she's a card that you're going to want to use on pace chasers for a while, regardless if it's during Grand Live or not. And the last reason why this Tachyon card good is, again, similar to the Maruzensky card, which is the banner itself is pretty good. She's coming out on the 1.5 anniversary banner, which means 60 free pulls, a bunch of free carrots, and she is on the same banner as the Scenario Pal card Light Hello. And having at least one copy of SSR Light Hello is basically mandatory to stay competitive in Grand Live. So when you're given the option to get both a good speed card and a mandatory scenario card, it should be easy to understand why people recommend this banner. It's just another super efficient way to spend your carrots. But that card is pretty uncontroversial compared to the next one. Maybe controversial isn't quite the word, but it's certainly a bit misunderstood. That card is of course Mejiro Ramonu Wit. Coming on the 2nd anniversary, it is the great replacement for Fine Motion, according to most sources. And there are two things that I hear a little bit too much about this card that I want to talk about. Or really one, because they follow the same flawed idea about this card. Basically, some people will think that, oh, if Ramonu is a replacement for Fine Motion, I can still use Fine Motion as the second best Wit card to be fine, I don't have to pull on it. Or they're pulling on Fine Motion really late into its life cycle with the intent on using them together. Now, I'm not saying that pulling on the Maruzensky Fine Motion banner is a bad idea by any means, but rather doing it only for Fine Motion kind of misunderstands what Ramonu does and what she's here for in the meta. It is more of a gripe with players who skip the last Fine Motion banner in order to pull on this later one with Maruzensky. And the thing is, they're not entirely wrong by thinking this. You can run Ramonu with Fine Motion for one more scenario after that, and Fine Motion is technically the next best Wit card. But Ramonu's stats being slightly better is not why she is the best Wit card. See, right now on Global, we don't have many options for cards. That's why for speed cards we run things like Biko and Tamatikane because there just aren't good cards with splashable skills in rotation. And the same goes for Wit cards. There isn't one strong Wit card with a generalist gold skill, so we just default to the strongest Wit card for pure stats, which is Fine Motion. But take a look at frontrunners and end closers who do have good cards with good gold skills. Those styles will always run Bourbon for taking the lead and Mr. CB for Daring Strike, because the Wit stat in itself is just less valuable than a strong gold skill. And in terms of skills, Ramonu has a lot of things going for her. She has hint level 4, which means that all of these really powerful skills are going to be automatically maxed out. So once you click on her for a hint, you'll be getting level 5 hints, which means you also won't be getting the same skill twice. If you click on her for 2 hints, you will get 2 different hints, or if you're unlucky, you will get the stats. Plus, her gold skill, Ascendance, works for every running style on a medium or mile track, which are the majority of the CMs, they're going to be medium or mile. But still, yes, on the long and the sprint tracks, there's no real reason to bring Ramonu in your deck other than for stats. It's just that she's the most generalist Wit card for a while. In fact, after Fine Motion falls off, there isn't really a true best generalist Wit card for a long time until Forever Young releases, which is like years away for us because she's still a newish card in JP. But that is besides the point. As the game changes and stronger scenarios get introduced, we will also eventually be dropping double Wit in favor of just running a single Wit card. Again, this means that there just isn't space for Fine Motion, who might as well have no gold skill. And also, yes, it is another anniversary banner, which means free pulls and more value for your carrots, another reason to pull on this banner. And I'm going to end it there because this video has been going on for too long already. So just to reiterate, the intent of all of this isn't to be the evil YouTuber content creator that's saying that everything is a must pull and you have to use all your carrots. And this card is meta, this card is meta. I just want to help clarify some of the reasoning behind these meta cards so that you can make more informed decisions. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave those in the comments. And if you liked the video and want to see more like this, consider liking and subscribing. We're on the way to a nice round 500 subs, so thank you all for the support. And I'll see you next time. Peace.